Hi. All right. I'm going to go over something. I want to share it with you all. And I kind of want to make this teaching something I can give you to be thinking about, and also as sort of a guidepost along the way, right? So let's look at these here to recap. For those who remember, for those who don't remember, for those who know, for those who don't know. Okay, in the 5-element cycle, fire creates earth, earth creates metal, metal creates water, water creates wood, wood makes fire. The generating cycle. Fire slags metal, metal chops down wood, wood pierces earth, earth dams water, water puts out fire. The overcoming or the destruction cycle. Now, in the 5-element theory, in our viscera, in our organs, we house Shen. Shen is our immortal self, is our immortal soul, our immortal spirit. It is the phoenix, okay? There's Yi, which is the golden eagle, and it represents the logos, the mind, the intellect. It's the focus. There is Po, which is the tiger, and he represents the animal self, the corporeal self, the one that needs to eat and sleep and poop and make love. There's Zhi, the divine will, okay? And there's Hun, the dragon being the either 3-clawed dragon, which is the earth dragon, the 4-clawed dragon, which is the spiritual dragon, or the 5-clawed dragon, which is the celestial dragon. Now, each dragon represents the physical, the energy, or the spirit, and the earth dragon, for example, its version of love and understanding is either demanding or bartering. The 4-clawed dragon is the spiritual dragon. It represents true love, giving because that's what it is. The 5-clawed dragon, or the celestial dragon, represents that iconic love, inspirational love, which is, even if you harm me, I'm not going to recompense hate for hate, harm for harm. Okay, this is very important, okay? So when you see these, the Hun resides in the liver, the Yi resides in the spleen, the Po resides in the lungs, the Zhi resides in the kidneys, the foundation of our congenital essence, also the foundation of our health and our gene. And the Shen resides in the heart, the same place that the emperor, right? So this is our immortal self. Now let's look at this in another model here, okay? So you might have seen this maybe once or twice, but this is heaven, man, and earth, the 3 treasures. Heaven represents the etheric, man represents the subtle, earth represents the gross or physical, okay? And down here is the foundations. So as we're working through alchemy, we lay our foundations, and from that we transform our Jing to Qi, our Qi to Shen, and our Shen back to Dao. Okay, so our foundation of our health is our Zhi, our divine will. So our will, when we are born or incarnate into this world, all we are is a lump of flesh that has divine will to grow and to experience this world. That's all we have is will. From that, as we become children and we start to develop our Po, we start to develop our sense of let's look at things, let's investigate things, let's touch things, let's break things, let's build things, let's beat things up, let's laugh and dance and stamp and all those things. Po begins its reign, right? Well, Po is the first one to take control of the Zhi, the divine will. This is when, as you start to go from a child and you just want to eat candy and drink a Coca-Cola and stay up all night and go crazy, and then you become a teenager and you want to snort coke and smoke weed and get drunk and have sex all the time, it's Po. It's self-will run riot. It's yes, experience. Not that it's good, not that it's bad. That's just the nature of Po. It's the nature of the tiger, right? Eat, drink, and be merry, from the morrow we die. That is Po's main core philosophy. And so this is what we have to start to eventually through cultivation. And I'm telling you, even though that may seem like a teenage thing, how many people in the 20s and 30s and beyond maybe do it? You've got to learn to overcome your base nature, right? In yogas, you would say that this represents the first 3 chakras that have to be overcome, represents the Po, all the way up to the next one, which is the yi, and we'll get to in a minute, where we have to overcome that base nature. We have to overcome it. The first and second chakra, you would say, right? Fear and sensuality. And there's nothing wrong with them. They're beautiful parts of our life, but they're not our whole life. And we can't make our whole life about that. And then once we overcome that, we tame our tiger, tame the white tiger, so to speak, then we must then the yi, the mind. And we do that because then we start to tame, we start to realize there's so much to learn, and there's so much to, oh my God, see, and there's so many things to figure out, and there's so much knowledge, and that's beautiful. And that really does help to tame the tiger. And if you notice, tigers are very terrestrial animals. Now we're over here with the eagle, and we got a better view, we got a higher view, a better perspective, and we see that, wasting our gene like a bunch of spider monkeys, maybe that's not the best plan. Let's do more, let's do better. And then the yi starts going, and then from there, we start to think that we need to know everything. We need to understand everything. Everything is something to be understood in terms of book learning and knowledge and facts. There's a Daoist saying that says, in your youth you learn, in your old age you understand, right? Yi cannot really understand. He can prepare you to understand, but he's still very finite in his ceiling, right? Eagles have a very finite ceiling. They may have a very high ceiling, true, versus the sparrow, right? Sparrows don't have a very high altitude, but eagles have a very high altitude, but it's not high enough for our purpose as alchemists, as our purpose as cultivationists. So we have to cross the bridge of the mind and get over here into the world of the subtle, right? This is the gross, and this is the subtle, and we have to go through this. And once we learn that knowledge is not enough, this is what Wang Chongyong in the scripture on this 15 discourses to establish the teaching, number 31, studying text, says, when you study a text, you want to get the meanings. And once you get the meaning, you can throw the text away. And then once you go deeper into the meanings, you'll get the principle. And once you get the principle, you throw the meanings away. And once you get the principle, you start going deeper into it, then you find the fundamental ground. As a Taoist, fundamental ground is your kung fu. It's your 10,000-hour skill. It is going, aha, this is the baker who can equate all of life to baking. The barber who can equate all of life to cutting hair. The old midwife who's never can't even write her name, never been to school, but it can understand the entire universe in the birth of a child. The fundamental ground. It says, once you get this fundamental ground, you bury it deep into the heart mind, and you let it permeate. You let it grow roots. You let it sprout fruit. And this is where true wisdom is born. It goes beyond knowing. And so once you begin to cultivate and actually overcome the mind, most people die there. That takes most people's life. As a cultivationist, however, that is the point where you actually join the path. Because this here takes you to the death of the physical world, right? You just left the physical world. But now we have to start cultivating the path of return, right? It's a path of return. Western and Eastern esotericism talk about the internal alchemies, the cultivations, all the mystical portion is you've come from Tao down, now you go down, back. So the Fa and the Fan, the issuing forth Fa and the return, Fan. So this is the Fan Tao. This is returning to Tao. And now it starts with, now that Yi has surrendered its relinquishment over your Zhi, hopefully, now you need to take your divine will, right? So Po has had it, then you overcome Po, and Yi gets it, and then you overcome Yi, and now Hun. Now we start to couple where we give our etheric soul. Han is our ethereal self, whereas Po is our corporeal self, and Yi is our logos and our intellect. Hun is our highest self. And this is where, when you start training, you start going, damn, my life can get better. My life sucks. My life gets harder. I mean, this isn't easy. I'm not feeling all zen. Yeah, you're right. Because the trials that a dragon goes through is you've got to start off with this 3-clawed dragon that's, yeah, I'm going to sit under this Bodhi tree. You wait, man. I'm going to be zen AF. That's where it starts to, there's still an ego there. You've got to now raise your dragon's level from 3 to 4 to 5-clawed dragon. If you notice, the 3-clawed dragon is the demanding and bartering love. The 4-clawed dragon is that true love, and that 5-clawed dragon is an inspired love, right? We talked in the relationship workshop. Well, what will happen is this 5-clawed dragon is what you have to go through. And to mature a dragon, he has to be able to ascend and ascend, right? The earth dragon, the spiritual dragon, you're going to have to ascend him even higher. The 3 levels of the middle kingdom there. Because you want a celestial dragon, because only a celestial dragon is capable of getting you into the celestial world. And this is a very, very difficult thing, because the only thing that gets a dragon to grow, to raise, are the trials that the dragon must go through. These are the trials, spoken of by the knights going on their crusades. This is in popular fiction, it's the Jedi going through their trials. If you want to talk about, the Monkey King going into his journey to the West, everybody goes through these trials. And the reason why they're so hard is you've got to overcome ego. You've got to overcome your need for significance as your highest need. You've got to overcome all of these needs to see that you already have them. And the only way you're going to get them is by giving these needs. And this is where, you go through something, you're like, man, I got everything I want, and oh my God, it's gone. Why did the Tao do this? And the answer is, This is the way that a dragon becomes strong, supple, larger. He has to, every time, if he's in a place where he's like, oh my God, I'm at my lowest point, this is the Tao forcing the dragon to go higher, forcing the dragon to raise his standards, to raise his perception, to raise his consciousness. And these trials are all about raising a dragon. And they mean raising it like a child, and also raising its perspective. Same thing. To lift it up, to make it get higher. And it's why most people fail and quit, because they say, it's breaking my heart. No, it's not. It's breaking the earth dragon's hold on your will, the spiritual dragon's hold on your will, because only the celestial dragon, right? You see that pearl that you see all the statues and all the pictures. Come to see Shavuot and you see all these pictures with the dragon holding the pearl. That pearl is your will. That's that silver mercury within your kidneys, that will, that it has to eventually, when it gets into the celestial realms, hand off to your Shen, because Shen is fire, Jur is water, which is mercury. So for the fire and the water, the Khan and Li to mate, the Han has got to hand that divine will over to the Shen. This is where Jesus says in the scriptures, it says, not my will, but thy will be done. It's this handing over the will. This is where Buddha tells Mara, as the earth is my witness. They're trying to say, only the Shen, right? Only the Shen has the perception. Only the phoenix can get high enough. And what's interesting is the dragon and the phoenix are the yin and yang of each other. The phoenix is the yin, the substance, it's the immortal itself. The dragon is the effect, the function, the yang. This affects all of this through the dragon. This is you. This is your immortal self. And I tell you, without unequivocally, you are not ready for your Shen. You are not ready for that immortal self. You are not ready to live in that world if your dragon cannot take the word no. Right? This is the problem in the world. You want to tell how mature somebody is? Tell them no and watch their behavior. Because most people, their idea of, do you love me? Is, are you going to give me what I want? That's very much a 3-clawed dragon. It's got to go beyond what you want. What's what you need? The dragon, it wants to give you what you need. But there's only one thing you really need. And that's the path of return. And that's to open your consciousness. Shen is your immortal self. It is you, but it is the highest form of your consciousness. It is a vibration within you. We do the internal alchemies in the body in order to allow our body to be capable of experiencing the higher realms of consciousness. But that's just the small stone. That's the lesser stone. The greater stone is the internal alchemy doesn't happen in the body. It happens in consciousness itself. You have to get the body capable of experiencing the consciousness, but then you have to do that. You have to do the actual alchemies once you're in that level of consciousness. Han is preparing the body. It is preparing the mind. It is preparing everything, because this will has to be ironclad. It has to be absolute. It has to be completely focused. Because when you connect it to the Shen, and the Shen now holds your divine will, you're holding the power of creation itself in your hands. You're holding the power of wielding Tao. It will not come without a price. And you do not understand the nature of love until this Hun has been fully vetted and broken of its childlike whimsy that I know what I need. You don't know anything. Only you know. Capital S, self. Only you know. And you, small case s, need to constantly be looking to you, capital case S, because you think you know why you're here. No, you don't. You know nothing. You can look back and you can trace things and get an idea of a trajectory, but you have no idea because that trajectory can change in a heartbeat. Only the surrendering of the will all the way back. But this here, this is the path of return. This is what the Daoist of any culture, of any time, of any eon, we are all on this path. The path of maturation of our dragon from a 3 to a 4 to a 5-claw dragon. If you look, it also represents the 4 natural enemies of man. Po, fear. Yi, knowledge. Hun, power. Shen, death itself. Because when you merge with Shen in the second stage of mysticism, the second stage of mystic path, you're still 2, you and your Shen, but then you're working towards the final stage, which is the annihilation of both into not 2. Okay? So I want you to think about this, and I want you to pay attention to this, because if you're having problems with your diet, you're having problems resting, you're having problems with your Po, if you're having problems needing to know and needing to put labels and to judge, you're having problems, you're there. Are you only on one? No, you're in all of them at all the time. But where's your focus? I can tell you that this is just as much of a holy thing as this is a holy thing. As this and this are holy things. Don't make them different, but understand their focuses are very different. And if you want to constantly be moving towards this, this is Shen. It is fire. It is producing and trying to send light to connect Shen and Zhi together, the fire and the water. Han, Yi, and Po are filters. They are filters that distorts this pure light of Shen. They're filters. And Han, Yi, and Po can very much distort this light. This is called Shen Guang, right? When you're doing internal alchemy, you're doing the Tai Yi Jin Hua Zong, which is the Secrets of the Golden Flower, or the Ling Bao Bi Fa, which are the complete methods of the Numinous Treasure. You're trying to get the Shen Guang all the way down to the lower Dantian. That's what this is talking about. Here's the lower Dantian, the kidneys. Here's the upper, here's the, up here in the upper Dantian, this is where the Shen, the seat of consciousness is. And you've got to get that light, right? This is through the Tai Chi Po, this is through the Du, the Ren, all 3, or the Pi, or the Shashun, the Ida, Pingala, however you want to look at it. But my point to you is all of these milestones, we're all on them. We will all always be on them until we are ready to surrender that will. And when you do that, you have to understand whether it's the East, the Orient, or the West, the Occident, any of these traditions, most of them, they know maybe this, or they can maybe parrot a version of this, but they don't really believe it. And here's one way you know why or how. Because how many are taking the oh, I want this so bad. Oh, it's the most amazing thing in the world. And the Tao or your Shen or whoever you want to put for your vernacular goes, no. No, it's not fair. It's not right. You see, that's how it knows whether you're, that right there will tell your Shen or the Tao or whatever you want to call it, God, that you're not mature. You're not ready. And every temper tantrum you throw increases your problems, increases your trials, increases your journey, because you will keep getting broken until, no, I don't want it. It becomes as you wish. It took Jesus on a cross, all the stuff he did, everything until he went, my God, why have you forsaken me? He was still fighting up until then, until eventually he went, into my hands I commit my soul. And it was it. I mean, that simple. It was that one well, fuck it. Whatever you want, I don't care at this point. You're running it. And yeah, it takes time to get there. It takes time to have that ability. But please understand that Everything in this world is not trying to break you and make you, keep you from what you want. It's trying to give you what you want. This is all you really want. Every piece of bliss and long-lasting happiness and eternal love and samadhi and zazen and nirvana and attaining Tao or whatever the hell you are, Elysian fields, it's right there. It's right there. And only when you're willing to surrender can you conquer death, right? The last and final way to conquer the last and final natural enemy of man, death. And the only way to conquer death, surrender. I'm right there with you guys. We'll do it step by step, every step of the way. But if I'm going to follow the Tao, I have to do it the way the Tao does. I will not make it easy on you if you guys come back for the last 3 years. I'm not making it easy on you now. That which you think you hold dearest, I promise you this. Anything that you hold dearer than this will be a lesson. And I'm not the one who ever makes your lesson. Your lessons are always between you and you. I will watch, I will love you, I will adore you, but I will not interfere between you and you. Just as you cannot interfere between me and me. And my life and everything I've taught you till now is showing you how myself dealt with myself. And you saw the severity. I was hard-headed. You don't have to be. I could have made that way easier. But I didn't. Why? Well, apparently, as a teacher, when you're hard-headed, you make good teachers. I'm not a good teacher. I'm just a teacher. I'm not a good man. I'm just a man. But at this level of being a shrivel and being an abbot, my lessons don't get easier, they've gotten harder. And everything I've done with all of you, everything I continue to do with you, I still have 3 or 4 other worlds that I'm still balancing and doing it all. And I will never do anything other than have gratitude for each and every one of those problems. And here's why. Because everything takes us back to this. Everything does the will of the one. All right? I love you all. If you need anything, if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. You can put them in an email if you want, lao@fourdragonschool.com. All right, guys. Talk to you later.